I'm April Plank and thanks for joining me today. We're going to be going through a stretching class on the reformer. I've got 3 red springs on and my foot bar in the mid position, and let's go ahead and lay down. So as usual, my headrest is down. If you'd like to put yours up, you have that option. We're going to lay all the way on our back, find our arms nice and long, heels just in line with the sitting bones right on the bar and feet nice and flexed. Keep that tailbone grounded so you're in a neutral pelvis. And let's just start to link our breath with some movement. So inhale as you push the carriage out, squeezing the legs towards the bones, and exhale as you resist back in. Big inhales, full extension, and exhale as you resist. So we're going to spend a little bit of time, not too much, on just warming up the muscles so that we can kind of get our muscles ready to stretch. So if you haven't worked out already and you're wanting to use this stretch class on its own, then it's definitely important to warm up. Now, maybe you've already done a run or a walk or another class and you want to just use this stretch class to stretch. You could skip the footwork if you'd like, or it's fine just to do it as well, just as another way to build a little bit more heat in the body. Good. Do one more all the way out. Come halfway in and just little pulses, 1 inch out, 1 inch in. So just tiny little pulses, moving that carriage out an inch and in an inch. Good. Last 4, 3, 2, and 1. Go all the way out and bring your carriage back home. Slide the balls of the feet where the heels were. Lift your heels high and let's push all the way out. Once you're all the way out, lower the heels under the bar. Lift your heels back up and then bend the knees and come home. Let's go again. Inhale, press the carriage out. Lower the heels. Lift the heels and back in. We'll keep that same pattern, inhaling as you press, exhaling as the heels go under. Inhale, the heels lift, and exhale as you come home. So one of the ways it was explained to me is that if you think of your muscles like steel rods, if a steel rod is cold, it's not going to be able to stretch at all. It's going to pretty much break. So that's where if you're trying to do some deep stretching, and you try to do a deep stretching on a cold muscle, you can end up getting an injury. But if you take steel and you warm it up, it becomes more pliable. So same thing with the muscles. As they become warmer, they're more pliable, more able to move and stretch, and that's when we can actually work on improving our range of motion and improving our flexibility. So that's why we're doing this footwork, just to get everything a little bit heated so that we can be safe in our stretching and get more benefit from our stretching. Do that one more time through. And then the next time you're in, we're going to put the heels together, knees nice and wide, and we'll push out, squeezing the legs together and peel the legs apart. Inhale as you push, and exhale as you resist back in. And one of the easiest ways to build heat in your body is working the large muscle groups of the body. And our legs are pretty much our largest muscle groups we have, so we're spending some time warming up and heating up through the legs. Good. We'll go 3. 2 more big inhales out, resisting back in. Last one here, and come back in. Take the balls of the feet wide on the bar, and we're going to inhale, keep the heels lifted, and push all the way out, and exhale, resist back in. So we're in that high half toe where the heels are lifted. You're on the balls of the feet. Your knees are as wide as about the carriage, and that really kind of depends on your flexibility. So if it's not that wide, that's not a big deal. Go as wide of a turnout as you can. The important thing is that your ankles and your knees are both pointing in the same direction. Go 3, and 2, and 1. Come home, keep your feet the same, but just spin your knees into each other so they're touching, and you're going to push the carriage out and in from here. So we'll just work a little bit on this internal rotation. So you may feel a little different muscle activation and engagement here. And then to really juice up the hips, we're gonna kind of alternate between internal and external rotation. So do one more. And then when you go out, you're gonna rotate your hips open to push. You're gonna rotate your hips in to come home. So rotate wide, push out, rotate in, and come home. So big rotation and press, rotate in. I like to do this on the balls of the feet. I think it's easier to spin open and close through the hips versus on the heels. I've seen it done both ways, but I do prefer the balls of the feet. Good, 2 more to go in this direction. Hopefully you're starting to feel a little heat building in your body. And then the next time we're gonna reverse it. So you're gonna go out with your knees facing in with your knees facing out. So you're just reversing the direction of that circle through the hips. Think of your range of motion, the biggest range of motion you can go through the hips. Think of like just really lubricating the hip joint with this nice movement. Go 4, and 3, and 2, and 1 more. Good. Come all the way in, put those heels about sits bones distance apart. Make sure your headrest is down if you had chosen to lift it during footwork. Now we're gonna warm up our spine. So starting from the base of the spine, you're gonna start to articulate your spine up, 1 vertebrae at a time until you just get to about the shoulder blades. So make sure you're not popping your ribs up towards your face. You're tucking your tail slightly underneath you. You're pushing into your heels to lift the hips high. The back of the neck is long, so you have a little bit of space between the chin and the chest. Now let's sink the spine down with a lot of control. So it's as if 1 vertebrae at a time is releasing. So you're getting a really great stretch. And I'm actually letting my glutes release, letting everything kind of soften to slowly release the entire back chain of the body. Good, inhale at the bottom, and we'll go again. So you're gonna tuck your tailbone, roll yourself up, try to think of each vertebrae moving separate of the one beside it. Big breath in at the top, and then exhale as you slowly sink. Let your hips, kind of your glutes relax, and just let everything kind of sink very slowly down, down, down. At the end, your tailbone pushes firmly and you're in your neutral spine. Let's go again. Tuck your tailbone, pull your abs in as you roll your spine up. You're opening through the hip flexors, the front of the legs as you lift. And then just slowly melt yourself down. Take as much time as you need here. Just slowly rolling down, down, down. Back to neutral pelvis. Last one, take an inhale. Nice exhale as you roll yourself up. All the way to the top. Big deep breath at the top. And then melt yourself the slowest time possible. So just rolling yourself nice and slowly down, releasing all the way into that neutral pelvis. Good. Once you're there, lift your legs into tabletop. Take your hands and grab your pegs. You can gently pull the pegs apart to help drop your shoulders down your back. Inhale the knees over to the right and keep pulling the pegs apart, letting your left shoulder drop and feel that really great stretch through your left side. Big inhale here and then exhale back to the center. And we'll go to the other side. So you're going to reach the legs towards the left. Keep your elbow of the right arm pressing to the right. Keep pulling the pegs apart and dropping the shoulders down your back. Now you're only going as far over as you can hold, so you should feel a really great stretch, not too much of a strain, and then big exhale as you pull it back to the center. Now if you want to speed that up, you can. I'm kind of liking the slow hold, so that's what I'm going to do today. But if you need a little faster, if it's not feeling good, don't go as far, or maybe make it a little bit less of a hold. And then exhale back to the center. But again, this is our stretch class. It's all about stretching and releasing and creating a range of motion through the body. Good. Exhale as you pull back up. Let's just do one more to each side. Nice, easy breathing. And then you'll exhale back up. And then last one to the left side. And then when you're ready, you'll exhale back up. Pull the knees into the chest. We're going to make a little change of our spring weight. So we're just going to roll off to the side. We were on 3 red springs, if you remember. We're going to take it down to 1 red and 1 blue. So we're on 1 red, 1 blue. Everything else is coming off. We're going to lay down and do our feet in straps. I know we usually save this, or I like to save this for the end, but you get it in the beginning today. So we're going to push all the way out. We're going to put the straps onto the feet. And then once you've got the straps on the feet, I like them a little bit closer to the heel than the toes. We're going to push the carriage out, pressing those legs nice and long. So again, with our theme of stretching, we're going to inhale the legs up towards the ceiling. And then we're going to open them wide to either side of the room, pull them back together, and then press the legs long and low. And we'll just do that pattern again. So the legs go up together. We open them wide to your deepest stretch. Exhale, pull them together, and then bring them back down. And whatever breath feels good for you, if you like to inhale and exhale, again, the breath is just a tool. You want to make sure the breath keeps moving, but breathe when it feels good for you. Good, so just finding your range of motion. And as you do more and more repetitions, you may feel you can go a little bit deeper. And if that feels good for you, please do it. Don't overdo your stretch. That's when you get into the point of injury, is when you're trying to push into your stretch. Let your body kind of melt into your stretch. Good, so we're just alternating opening and lowering. And we'll do that one more time. And then next time we lower, you're going to go into your circle. So you'll go down with your legs together. You're going to open them wide, up and together at the top, and we'll repeat that same series. You're going to go down with your feet together, open them wide, go up and around and all the way back together. Again, think of that stirring of the hip, the femur, your leg bone, and your hip socket. Working at a range of motion that feels comfortable. Working at a speed that feels comfortable. No need to really rush. You want to control your motion. Good. I did say we'd be doing a lot of static stretching, which we will, but again, I'm still kind of trying to warm up the body with a little bit more dynamic stretching and movement-based stretching. Still all stretching, just moving more, and we'll get into more of the held static stretching a little bit in a few moments. Not too much longer. Last one here. When you get to the top, we're going to reverse the direction of the circle. So we're going to open the legs wide first, pull them together at the bottom, and then bring them back up to the ceiling. So we'll open wide, squeeze the legs together, and then bring them back up. I like to inhale, open, exhale, squeeze together at the bottom, and come all the way back up to the top. Two more to go. Notice how in these leg circles you're keeping your pelvis still, you're keeping your tailbone down, and your spine nice and neutral. The next time the legs are up to the ceiling, you're going to stop, flex your feet, take your hands and grab your tape of the straps and just give them a little pull. So you're going to find this nice stretch through the back of the legs. And I like to counter the stretch by pushing my tailbone down, so I'm keeping a nice arch in my back, and I've got something to stretch against for my hamstrings. So I'm pushing my tail down and I'm lifting through my heels. Good, now you're going to let your tailbone lift and take it a little bit bigger stretch where you're just letting the hips maybe lift a little bit and pulling those legs a little bit closer. So you're not in neutral, you're in an imprint or tuck of the tail. Now our muscles work in pairs, so if you can think about squeezing the fronts of your legs, your quadriceps, your hamstrings are automatically going to release a little bit more. Now if you've gone too far, just back up a little bit and find a position that feels good for you. From here, separate your knees, bring the soles of the feet together, come into a little butterfly stretch. I like to pull the straps towards me and push my hands into the knees. So I'm using a little bit of a dynamic movement and pushing. So there's not much happening from the outside, but from the inside, I'm really pushing my elbows firmly into my knees, and I'm pulling my hands towards me to deepen the stretch. And we'll just hold these static stretches, maybe 2 or 3 breaths based on how long you're breathing and how deep your breath is. So keep your left leg just as it is and take your right leg out to the side. So you're going to open that leg out to the side. You can keep the right hand on the strap, maybe even push the strap down for a little bit more assistance of the stretch. The right hand could even come to your inner thigh, and you can use that little bit of weight of the hand to help open that inner thigh. And then we'll pull that right leg back in, and then the left leg will go out to the side. And you're going to keep the right leg just as it was, your left leg reaching right out to the side. You can hold the strap and use that for a little bit of pull, or the left hand can go on the inside of the inner thigh for a little bit more weight. And then I'm going to pull that leg all the way back in. Now right now my soles of my feet are together. I'm going to open the soles of my feet and try to make a footprint on the ceiling and pull my knees down to either sides of my waist. So this is happy baby in yoga, and it's a really amazing stretch for your low back. So I'm trying to pull my knees close to my armpits. My feet are reaching to the ceiling like I was making a footprint with my feet. And I'm going to use my hands to pull the straps close to me to accentuate the low back stretch. And then I'm going to slowly let my tailbone go back down. Send your legs long and low to about a 45-degree angle. This one is a little precarious to get into, but it's amazing, so we're going to try it. I want you to bend your right leg like you're trying to step your right foot to the floor. So I'm going to bring it on the outside of the wood, and I'm going to let that right leg release towards the floor as I let my left leg go up to the ceiling. So I've got to maintain a nice big tuck of the tailbone. So I'm trying to almost push my low back gently into the carriage to feel this inner thigh and hip flexor stretch, more hip flexor, of this right leg. So I'm tucking my tailbone, opening it through the right hip flexor. Now with your left leg, if it's available, you're going to send it out for the inner thigh stretch all the way to the side. So I'm stretching the inner thigh with my left leg and the hip flexor with my right leg. And once you're comfortably in the position, try to relax into it, breathe into it. Almost like you're just letting everything melt and soften into the stretch. You've got to be very careful when you're ready to come out. So I will walk you through the coming out. There's a safe way of coming out without putting strain on the right leg. So I'm going to bring the left leg back to the center. I'm going to bend my left knee, and then I'm going to put all the weight in my left foot. I'm going to push the left leg, and notice the right leg gets really slack. So once my right leg is slack, I can bring it up to the left and then push both legs back out to 45. Let's do the other side. So I'm going to bend my left leg like I'm trying to put my foot on the floor and on the side of the wood. And as I do that, I'm going to let the strap pull me and bring the right leg up to the ceiling. So I'm doing that nice tuck of my tailbone. So my low back is just gently pressing to the carriage, and that's going to give me a deeper stretch through my left hip flexor. And then finally, I'll bring my right leg out to the right, getting a big stretch through the right inner thigh. Now, if this stretch isn't available to you, you hold the butterfly. So the butterfly will be a nice inner thigh stretch, and we will be hitting the hip flexor a little bit later, so you won't miss the hip flexor entirely. I know this is a pretty deep stretch, so if this is not feeling good for you, please back off and take it into a butterfly. When you are ready, you're going to bring your right leg back to the ceiling, bend the right knee in, and then start to push it. And when you push it, your left leg gets slack, and then you can bring it up to meet the right. Push your legs long and low. Again, make sure your headrest is down. We're going to be lifting our hips up. So arms to your sides, you're going to let your legs go up to the ceiling. Start to let your hips go up to the ceiling, maybe moving 1 or 2 vertebrae and lifting up, maybe moving up to the shoulders and letting the carriage go into the bumper. You're going to let your knees go in towards the face and then roll your hips away. Pull your knees into tabletop position and then push the legs long to where you started. We can go a little bit quicker if it's easier for you. The legs go up on the inhale. You lift the hips on the exhale. If you can, you dock the carriage and keep lifting. So I'm keep pushing my hands into the mat and lifting my hips nice and high. And then bend your knees towards your face. Roll your hips very slowly down. Bring your legs back to tabletop. Push the carriage away. And again, inhale, the legs go up. You exhale, roll up as high as comfortable for you. It may be just a few vertebrae, and that's fine. You bend your knees in towards your face. Lower the hips slowly back down. Bend your legs back into tabletop and push away. This will be our last one. Your legs go up to the ceiling. Your hips lift up to the sky. Bend the knees to the shoulder blocks. Roll the hips slowly down. Bring your legs back to tabletop and push the carriage out. Good. Pull the legs in. You're going to take the right strap off the right foot. Just put it away for now on the peg. Your right foot's going to go to the foot bar. Your left leg's going to go up to the ceiling. So my right foot is on the foot bar. I'm dropping my right heel. My left foot is to the ceiling. Now, based on flexibility, you're going to grab anywhere on that strap that you can, and you're going to start to pull that leg towards you. Now, there's a number of muscles in the back of the leg, so you may want to pull closer towards your right shoulder and get more of the lateral side of the hamstring. You might feel that your tightness is in the middle of the hamstring and you're going to pull straight down to your face. Or you might feel tightness on the inside part of the hamstring, and that way you might want to pull to the left shoulder. So kind of find where you feel your tightness. For me, my lateral hamstring is what's usually tightest. So I'm going to kind of pull towards my right shoulder. Remember, lift your kneecap and squeeze your quadricep, and that'll help release your hamstring. Now, some people do like to bend the right leg and come into a stretch in that way, so the right leg stays bent and the left leg is a hamstring stretch. That just gives you less slack in the strap. So that may feel good for you. I like to keep it out long. And then we're going to take this left leg and reach it out to the side for an inner thigh stretch. For this one, I do like to bend my right leg, and then I like to turn my right toes out to the side so that both legs are going to turn out, and I even take my hands and give them a little push. So I'm pushing into my legs for a little deeper stretch. Again, you're not jamming your hands into your legs. Your body's going to respond to just a minimal effort. You don't want to be like pushing to your max, especially in stretching. So it's just a very gentle push. And then we'll come back to the center with the left leg. Your right leg is going to go back out straight with your heel under the bar. And let's take this left leg across the body for a IT band. And then if you take it pretty far and actually lift your hip, you're going to get more in low back. So for me, I always feel like I need a little bit more low back stretch. So I'm going to let my left hip lift and really pull that leg across my body. Good. Then I'm going to come all the way back. Last stretch on this side. I'm going to bend my left leg and cross it over the right for a figure 4. And you can take your hands and either hold this left leg in the bent position or hold behind the hamstring of your right leg. I kind of enjoy holding the left leg. I feel like it can give a little bit more pull. And I'm definitely feeling this release in my left glute and outer thigh. Nice work. Okay, we'll set the right foot down, take the left foot out of the strap. Let's switch sides. So your right foot is going to go into the right strap. You can have your left leg straight with the ball of the foot on the bar, and you can pull this hamstring stretch of the right leg. Remember, on the other side, you had the option of bending your left leg as well and holding the stretch there. We also talked about the 3 different hamstring options, so you can push a little bit towards the right shoulder to stretch through the inside part of the hamstring. You can pull to the middle to stretch the middle hamstring group, or you can pull a little bit to the left slightly to stretch the outside of the hamstring. So kind of see what's tight for you today and hold that angle. And again, the left leg can be bent or straight. You're lifting your right kneecap and you're squeezing your right quadricep. Second stretch, you're going to take your right leg all the way to the right. I like to bend my left knee and put my heel on the bar and turn out in the opposite way. So both feet are turned in opposite directions. I'm going to place my hands gently on my inner thighs for a little deeper stretch. And while you're holding these stretches, just focus on your breath. So deep, nice, big, deep inhales. And nice, strong exhales. And with every exhale is when you're starting to think of going a little deeper into your stretch. Your body's going to really release on the exhale, so that's an opportunity to kind of sink and melt into your stretch. Turn the legs back into the midline. Push all the way out with your left leg and bring the right leg across your body for that nice big outer thigh stretch. Again, I'm going to let my hip lift and take the stretch even more into my low back. See how long you can make your breath. So just big, deep inhales to the nose and big, deep exhales through the mouth. And then we'll come back up to the center. Your right leg's going to cross over your left. Again, I'm going to hold my right leg and pull it towards me. You could also hold behind your left hamstring. This is where the majority of us hold a lot of tension, especially if you're a walker, runner, biker, do a lot of pretty much anything. Your hips are going to get pretty tight. So we will do a second stretch later on that focuses on those muscles too. But for now, we're ready to come up. So let's put the left foot down, take the right foot out of the strap, bring your carriage home, give your knees a little bit of a hug, and you could rock side to side and eventually make your way off to the left. So we're going to come all the way off to the left, and we're going to do some standing stretches. So I'm going to actually take my weight down to 0. So I have no springs on and my carriage can very easily move. I'm going to stand with my belly button in line with my shoulder blocks. My foot bar hand, so the left hand closest to the foot bar is closest to me. My right hand, which is closest to the tower, is farther away from me. And I'm just going to have a nice long straight back. I'm going to push the carriage out, and as I do that, I'm going to dive my left ear towards the carriage, and I'm going to come into this nice stretch Now, it doesn't look like much is happening because I'm not moving, but I'm doing a lot with my hands. I am pulling my left hand towards me, and I'm pushing my right hand away from me. And that's giving me a little bit of traction and a nice big release through the back of my left shoulder. And you can even kind of rock your hips side to side and see what feels good as far as a stretch. So you're getting this really nice spinal twist. And just kind of explore what feels good. So movement's all about exploration. What feels good? Where do you want to be? You don't know till you try it. You might just be static, and then you realize after you've done it 10 times that it felt really good if you moved a little. At least that's for me. I added the movement after I've been done this 100 times, and I'm like, oh, well, this feels good. So I'm just going to move a little bit more. I'm pulling my left hand towards me. I'm pushing my right hand away from me. I'm just kind of swaying my hips side to side, releasing all those muscles around my hips and my waist. And then when you're ready to come in, remember you have no spring, so be very careful. You're going to bring yourself all the way up, and we're going to put a blue spring on. So with the blue spring on, I'm going to slide closer to my foot bar. My right foot's going to be on the shoulder block closest to me with my toes facing up. And I'm going to have my left toes facing out to the side. I'm going to bend my left knee to stretch this inner thigh. So it's just a little bend of my left knee. I'm going to also hinge forward from the hips to accentuate the stretch. My right hand's going to come down towards the carriage. So I'm going to have my right hand on the carriage, left hand on the foot bar. My right foot is flexed. My left toes are reaching out to the side. Now I'm going to straighten my left leg and push the carriage out. Bend my left leg and bring the carriage in. So it's just a nice gentle movement out into a deeper stretch and then back in. Remember that you're squeezing your right quadricep, lifting your right kneecap, flexing your right foot. Should feel really great through the back of the knee and through the hamstring of the right side. Do that one more time. And then we'll come all the way in. And then we're going to set the knee down. So your right knee's going to go to the carriage. Your right foot's against the shoulder block. And we're going to push the carriage all the way out into a lunge. Now I'm not going to just sink into this stretch and arch my back. I'm going to drop my tailbone, pull my abs and ribs in, and just lift my chest into the stretch. So this is another one of those hip flexor stretches. And hip flexor for most people gets really tight, especially if you sit a lot. This is probably the best stretch that you could be doing every day at the end of the day to counterbalance most everything we do in life. Sitting, driving, working at a desk. These are the muscles that get tight, and this is the stretch that releases it. Take your right hand and you're going to reach your right arm up to the ceiling, and then you're going to lean to the left. So this is going to give you an even deeper stretch. Be very careful that you're dropping your tail down. You're pulling your abs in. So even though you're stretching, you're not dumping, you're still active. So it's an active stretch. Keep that big lean to the left. Keep dropping your tailbone down. Almost like you're pushing your right knee into the mat as firmly as you can. Come back up to the center, take the right hand down, pull the carriage in. Take your right knee, place it back against the shoulder block, and then let's push back again. So I'm going to do that big tuck in my tail, and I'm going to sink. And that's just going to give me the best stretch I can get through this hip flexor. The more upright you stay, the deeper the stretch. If you actually come down a little bit, you won't be getting as deep of a stretch. But this may feel good, and you might want to be here as well. It may be deep enough for you. Just know that coming up on the hands will be quite a bit deeper. And then we're going to come all the way up. All right, we're going to walk around to this side and use the foot bar for some stretching. So I'm going to take my right foot. Option 1, it's going to go on the gray surface. Option 2, it's going to come up on the foot bar. Option 3, your foot bar can move, and so if you find that this high position is just a little bit too much and that low position is a little too little, then move your foot bar down and use the foot bar in a kind of low position or middle position. So I'm going to square my hips nice and even to that leg, shoulders down the back. I'm going to hinge forward from the hips. So the worst thing you can do is just round and hold here. You're going to lose your stretch. So you're going to hinge and think of your sternum shining forward to your reformer. Now I'm on my heel and I'm kind of pushing my heel firmly into the foot bar. I'm squeezing again my quadricep and I'm just slowly working my way deeper into the stretch. Your hands can stay on your hips. If it's available, they can come to the foot bar. I'm just going to work my breath. So as I work my breath in a stretch, I'm kind of coming out of it with an inhale and going a little bit deeper into it with an exhale. Good, and then I'm going to come all the way up. Turn your left toes slightly out to the side, and then turn your body out to the side. So you're facing the side. Your right hand's going to slide down the inseam of your right leg, and your left arm's going to go up to the ceiling. So I'm going to push my right hand into the leg. I'm going to turn and rotate my torso to the ceiling and reach through my left fingertips. So I'm still getting that nice hamstring stretch, but now I've added a little twist, and I'm feeling my whole waist release. You can work yourself lower into the stretch if it feels good, or you stay higher. So I'm pushing my right forearm into the right leg. I'm not resting my hand on the knee and putting pressure. So I'm pushing back against the inner thigh. And then I'm going to come all the way up and release. Good. That same leg, your right leg, is going to be back on the bar again, but I'm going to square my hips to the bar. My right leg's going to go on top of the bar into a pigeon pose. So remember, if this is too high, take your foot bar down. Same principles as always. I'm going to keep my hips square to the bar, keep my back nice and long, and if I'm ready to come forward, I'm going to hinge. So I'm not going to round my back, I'm going to hinge my back. And you're only going to go as far as you need to. So the only difference between someone who's uber flexible is that they just have to go farther to feel the stretch. If you're not flexible, you just don't have to go as far. You just feel the stretch where you feel the stretch. So stay where it works for you. Don't worry about anyone else's stretch. Only what feels good in your body. So this is the second stretch I told you we would work on for the outer thighs and glutes. Definitely another great stretch that you should be doing every day. If you walk at all, even 5 steps a day. Because if you don't walk at all, you're sitting. And if you're sitting, your hips are getting tighter than if you're walking. So definitely this stretch is important. Let's come all the way up and we will switch sides. So this time you're going to step back a little. Your left foot can either go onto the gray surface or your left heel can go onto the foot bar. I'm going to square my body to my stretch, take a big inhale, and then only hinge as much as you need. You might not have to hinge at all. So you're going to hinge as far as you need for your stretch. You're going to lift your kneecaps, squeeze the front of the leg. Maybe the hands can come to the foot bar. That might not feel good for you. I'm focusing on my sternum pushing forward versus my sternum facing down. So if I had a flashlight right in my sternum, it'd be shining in front of me. Remember, you have the option, and every leg's different, so you might want to try, even if you did the low on the right leg, maybe the left leg is your more flexible leg, or vice versa. And then let's come up and take that little turn with the right leg. So I'm going to turn the right toes out to the side. So now I'm facing the side. I'm going to take my left hand on the inside of the left inner thigh. My right arm's going to reach to the ceiling, and I'm going to lean. So I'm pushing my left hand, or my left forearm, backwards into the left leg, and I'm turning my torso in opposition for a big twist of my torso and spine. Take the biggest, deepest breaths you can. And then we'll slowly come out of that, turn yourself back to the foot bar, and then you'll step forward a little bit into the pigeon. So your left knee is going to come down to the foot bar, and you're going to stay upright if that's enough stretch for you. And only if you need deeper will you lean forward. And you might lean forward enough that your hands can come to the carriage. And you might even want to push the carriage out. But with stretching, as long as it's a dull ache, like if you definitely feel the stretch, that's fine. If you get to a point of a sharp pain, then you've definitely gone too far. So we're looking for kind of a dull, aching feeling in the muscle, and never anything that's sharp and painful. And then we'll come up and we'll do the other side. So we started with our 0 springs. So no springs on. Your right hand is now the closest to your foot bar, and that's going to be closest to you. So I'm kind of right in line with my shoulder blocks. My left hand is farthest from the foot bar, and that's going to be farthest from me. So my right hand's close to me, my left hand's far away from me. I'm going to push the carriage out and bring my right ear towards the mat. And as I go out, I'm pulling my right hand towards me, and I'm pushing my left hand away from me, and I'm going to add that little sway side to side, but I'm still continuing to push and pull with my hands as much as I can to feel this great stretch through my middle. And if movement doesn't work for you, then you keep it static. No need to move if it doesn't feel good. Good. When you're ready to come in, you'll very slowly, because there's no springs on, bring the carriage back to the bumper. Let's put a blue spring on, which is my medium. I'm still going to face the same way, but I'm going to move a little closer to my foot bar. My left toes are facing the ceiling. I'm going to push that left leg out straight. My right toes are facing at an angle out to the foot bar. I'm going to bend the right leg and push the carriage out by bending the right leg. My left hand's going to go onto the carriage, and then I'm going to straighten my right leg to push the carriage out farther, and then bend the right leg. So I'm holding the foot bar with this right hand, but you could also hold the wood if you want a deeper stretch and kind of go a little bit lower. And I did bottom out for a second, so I'm going to scoot my right leg closer to the foot bar so I have a little more range of motion if you want to go into a deeper split. And you're just kind of easily moving in and out. And then you can hold it out as well. So in all of these stretches, you can move, you can hold, see what feels good for your body. And then we'll come all the way in. We're going to turn to the foot bar, put the left knee down on the carriage. Remember, you've got that little dip of the tailbone down. You're going to bend the right knee, lift your sternum forward, push your left knee firmly into the carriage. And then your left arm's going to go up to the ceiling and towards your right. So you're getting a bigger, deeper stretch. The more you tuck your left tailbone underneath you, or your left hip underneath you, the bigger stretch you're going to feel. And let's come up to the center. Take the left hand down, come all the way home. Your left knee is going to go back against the shoulder block. Second stretch, you're going to go all the way back again. Make sure you're not dumping, you're lengthening your low back. Good job, you guys. You're going to feel long and lengthened and rejuvenated after all these stretches. I know I will. And let's come all the way in. I'm going to sit in a mermaid away from you so that when I finish, I'm towards you. So my left shin is against the shoulder block. My right leg is crossed in front. So I'm in my mermaid position. I'm going to push the carriage out with my right hand, and reach my left arm over my head. Now relax your shoulders away from your ears. Feel that really great stretch and release through the left side. I'm going to turn my torso to the floor, tap my pinky finger of the left hand to the bar, turn my torso back to the front. So I'm just doing a little wrap of my rib cage, rotating down, rotating back up, rotating down, rotating back up. 2 more to go. Nice rotation down and back up. Last time you're going to hold it down. Take your left hand to the bar, move your right hand over to the right, and then just allow your chest to sink into the bar or to the floor. On your next inhale, you'll bring the carriage home and lift your sternum up, taking a big breath. And on your exhale, you'll push it back down, allowing your chest to sink into the well. We'll do that a few more times. So you lift your chest, big deep breath in, and then you lower back down. Inhale as you bring the carriage home, lift the sternum forward, and exhale as you press the chest down. 2 more to go. And then we're going to hold our last one up at the top. So 1 more full repetition, and then come up to the top. So this is another one where there's going to be nothing that looks like it's happening, but a lot of with my hands. So I'm going to push my right hand firmly into the bar and pull my left hand towards me, and that's going to accentuate a twist. So I'm looking over my right shoulder, I'm pushing my right hand away from me, I'm pulling my left hand towards me, and I'm getting a big, big spinal twist. And it feels great. I hope you think so too. Okay, then we're going to release that very gently and go to the other side. So my hands are going to grab my shoulder blocks. I'm going to sit tall, push your shoulder blocks to the right, and turn and look towards your left. And that's such a good stretch, we're going to do it twice. So second round, very gently release your spine. Take the hands back to the foot bar, big inhale. You're going to push the right hand away from you, pull the left hand towards you, and twist. Really good job, you guys. All right, 1 more to the other side. Move very slowly, and we'll take the hands to the shoulder blocks, big inhale, and you're going to twist towards your left. And then you can gently unwind. Face your foot bar before we do the other side. We're going to do a nice spinal stretch. So I'm going to be on 1 red spring. Take my blue off. So I'm on 1 heavy spring. My feet are against the shoulder blocks. I'm going to push my hips back. I'm going to drop my chest into the springs. I'm going to let my carriage move back from my legs. So my chest is in the springs. Now I'm going to straighten my legs and push my hips down into the springs. So I'm in this tucked of the tailbone, and I'm going to lift my chest and come home into like an arc position, pull my hips back to my heels, and round my back. So I'll do it again. So my back is round. I'm going to drop my chest into the springs, curl my spine out, come into a neutral spine, tuck that tailbone, and then lift my chest up into an extended spine, curl from the abdominals, and roll yourself back into that tuck. So you're in your C curve. You go out to neutral, you push the carriage out, straighten your legs, big hip flexor stretch. Lift your chest into extension, then curl your abdominals in, round your back, and go back to that flexion. Let's do that 2 more times. Untuck your tailbone to neutral, push your legs straight, lift your sternum forward, pull your abs in, round your back. 1 more time, back to neutral with the spine, push the legs straight and long, lift the sternum up into your extension, pull your abs in and round your back. Go back to neutral spine, take your elbows onto the foot bar, prayer position with the hands, and you're going to drop your chest into the springs. So I have my elbows pushing, or kind of the top of my elbows, my forearms or my upper arms pushing into the foot bar. My hands are pushing into prayer position, and I'm letting my chest just kind of sink for a big shoulder stretch. Good. And then we'll slowly come up and make our way into our last little series, which is our mermaid on the other side. So back to your blue. And I want you to take your red off, so you have one blue spring on. Left hand is on the foot bar. We're going to push it out into that nice mermaid stretch. Keep your shoulders relaxed away from your ears. And then we'll move from our rib cage. Exhale as you touch your right pinky fingers towards the foot bar. Inhale as you turn it back to the front. And again, exhale as you rotate. Inhale, rotate back. Linking your breath with your movement. 2 more, rotating down. You can rotate as high up to the ceiling as you can in that reverse. And 1 more, rotating down and back up. Then we'll rotate down and stay there. Move the left hand over, drop your chest into the springs. And then 5 times again, we'll lift the sternum as you pull the carriage in towards the bumper. And then you'll press it back out. And you'll lift the sternum and you'll press it back out. Two more. Hold your next one into the bumper. This is where we're going to look like nothing's happening, but we're going to use everything with our hands. So pull your right hand towards you, push your left hand away from you, and articulate 1 vertebrae at a time. You're going to wrap and rotate your spine towards the left. So think of lengthening and rotating. How much space can you create in your back? Very carefully unwind, and then we'll do the opposite twist. So take your hands to the shoulder blocks, big inhale as you lengthen, and exhale as you twist and rotate, looking over the right shoulder. And we're going to do that 1 more time on each side. So unwind, take it back to the left, hands on the foot bar. Right hand is going to pull towards you. Left hand's going to push away from you as you twist and look over the left shoulder. And last time here, we're going to unwind, take both hands to the shoulder blocks, sit nice and tall, and then look and twist towards your left. And gently unwind. So bring your feet to the floor, nice and wide. Sit at the very edge of your machine. You're going to sit up nice and tall. Big inhale here. And then start to round your back down. Letting gravity do some work for you. You're going to roll your spine down 1 vertebrae at a time. Let your head, your neck, your shoulders completely relax. Take a really deep inhale and exhale. And then you're going to slowly roll your spine up 1 vertebrae at a time. Good. Last stretch here. We're going to come back to the end of the machine. You're going to hold on to the foot bar. We're just going to use that foot bar for a little bit of weight. You're going to bend your knees feet about hips distance apart. You're going to let your hips push straight back. Very similar to what we just did, but now we've got a little traction because we're using that weight of the carriage to hold us, and you can let your hips go down, or they might feel better up. Whatever feels good for you. I like to kind of move my knees, bend and straighten, bend and straighten. And then we'll hold the legs straight, and you're going to roll the spine up one vertebrae at a time, rolling the shoulders back, lifting the sternum. Take a big deep breath in. And exhale, release. We'll do that one more time. Take a big deep breath in. And exhale, release. I hope you guys feel wonderfully stretched after that class, and I hope to see you sometime really soon. Have a great day.